Hello and welcome back to the Computational Genomics Lab. We are 2 steps away from running the pipeline. So we just finished our sample sheet and now we are going to do our nextflow.config file. And what that basically is a file that'll allow nextflow to communicate with your computer. You can kind of think of nextflow as like C-3PO from Star Wars. It knows a bunch of languages, but you have to tell it which one. And the one I'm going to be going over for is the one for our supercomputer Fiji, and it speaks Slurm, and so we have to basically tell nextflow like, hey, I speak Slurm, and you can use this set of resources. If you're doing this on your laptop, you'll change it to local and change the resources a little bit, but it's all marked down here on our class GitHub. I'm in the Boulder RNAseq GitHub, going into master class. We are now on lesson 4, and we've done the sample sheet, and now we're going to do the config file. So this is all, what I'm going to say is all written down here and has some links for some more resources, but basically I explained all this, and all it really has in it are these parameters here. So we have process is where it starts, and so there's open brackets like a function. We'll go over those later, but anything inside those curly brackets is a function. And the first thing we say is executor is Slurm. That's the language our supercomputer speaks. If you're on your laptop, that would become local. Q is long, and memory, long queue. So there's a short and a long queue on Fiji. The short queue is more for intensive short processes, but this pipeline is probably going to take like 8 hours to run. So we want to go into the long queue so that we don't interfere with people who need to do something really quick, because we're going to take a little while. So we're going to go into the long queue. We're going to tell nextflow it can use 16 gigabits of memory to do its jobs. And that should be plenty. If you're on a laptop, you can reduce that to 1 or 2. And then lastly, before the last curly bracket here, we have max forks equals 10. That's how many jobs nextflow can be running at one time. So imagine C-3PO could speak to 10 people all at once. That you don't want it more than the number of samples you have. We have 15. But 10 should be fine. So that means for each step in the pipeline, nextflow is going to do 10 at one time, and it'll speed things up. You could add it to more, but then you're going to end up taking more resources as well. If you're on a local computer, you might want to shrink it down and play with it and see how long it takes. Okay, so that is really it for the .config file. We have it here on our terminal. You want to put it in that same folder that where you're going to run this from, and I'm for the class scratch shares RN class. In lessons 04 is where we are. I'll make this bigger. I actually have it running, if that's what you saw right behind the screen. And we're in doing mouse right now. And there's links in here to where the data is. And also I'll put it in the video description for each of these. And so in here we can see this is where I'm running it is in data. And so you want to make a folder here that has all your the 3 files we're making right now. So we made the sample sheet, which I've renamed to design, don't worry about that. And then we have the nextflow config, which we just went over, and we can look at that. You can just paste in each of those lines, but we went through it in the R markdown on GitHub, but this is really all it is in the end, is just that. So we have the sample sheet, we have the config file, we just need a shell script to run all this, and next thing you know, you're running your first RNAseq, and I can't wait. So we'll see you next time for the shell script.